Hello, members of the 26th District. Senator Nathan Schlicher here with you again this week to talk about what's going on in Olympia. Well, as you know, over the last week or so, we've been rolling out the budgets, operating, capital, and transportation. And we talked a little bit last week about transportation, and this week I want to touch base with you about the operating budget. You know, the Senate operating budget does a lot of different things, but it was a budget that in the end I was unable to support because it sets a plan up that really takes advantage of the most vulnerable citizens. And it uses people as bargaining chips rather than actually making good policy. And it undermines the middle class. It's a budget of what I've come to call the good, the bad, and the ugly. On the good side, you know, we did get some mental health funding. We did put $100 million into higher education. It won't keep tuition from going up, but it does something. We put $1 billion into McCleary, depending upon how you read it, maybe $500 million, in fact. And we fully implemented the Affordable Care Act, which is a step in the right direction and brings in $330 million in revenue to the state by taking care of those that previously were uninsured. It also makes sure that the B&O tax on small businesses expires, which is critical for getting people back to work and supporting our small businesses. But there are some problems. This budget has no long-term sustainability. It's full of gimmicks, cost shifts, and other problems that will force us back here next year. It also has some really unique tools in it to get revenue. One of them that has really surprised many is that, as you know, the University of Washington Medical Center and Harborview is part of the state. But just like any other hospital, they have revenue from their patient care that comes in that is theirs for investing in infrastructure, et cetera. Well, this operating budget for the first time reaches into that and grabs $12.5 million out of it and pulls it into the state general fund. It's functionally a new tax that's never been in place for the University of Washington. There's also a number of questionably unconstitutional fund shifts from dedicated accounts that are meant to help schools and help school construction that are getting swept into the operating budget, in addition to the $230 or so million from the capital budget. And then there's the just downright ugly of this budget. That's things like 25,000 people that are left homeless or potentially homeless by this budget, because we're cutting over $200 million from the safety net. We see in education no class size reduction, significant cuts to career and technical education of almost 43%. And we see a lot of borrowing of future dollars to pay for costs today. This is the credit card version of a budget for the state. At the end, you know, folks, we've really got to get down to when we're doing budgets, get away from the idea that people's lives and the programs they depend upon are bargaining chips. We can talk about living within our means as a state, but when we're taking away the programs that help support people to live within their means, we're not helping advance the state. We cannot borrow from our future to pay for the needs this year. And we have to make sure that we have a thriving middle class that has living wage jobs and gets people back to work. You know, I'll continue to work with all the legislators on both sides of the aisle and the governor to find a sustainable, balanced, and thoughtful budget that doesn't balance the state's needs on the backs of the poor and the most vulnerable. You know, as you read through the budgets, I hope you'll take the time to call, visit, email, and stop by and see us to share with you your concerns. I've heard from hundreds of constituents throughout the district, and I hope to hear from you about what your issues are that you think we can work on better as we work towards a final budget and hopefully leaving Olympia on April 28th. Thank you as always, and I look forward to hearing from you.